Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, when you hear online learning, what comes to mind? Probably Zoom calls, digital classrooms, things from the last, 10, maybe 20 years? Well, what if I told you the real story actually starts almost 300 years ago? Today, we're going to unpack the surprisingly long and kind of wild history of what we now call e-learn.
So, first things first, let's get our terms straight. We hear distance learning and e-learning thrown around all the time, right? And a lot of us use them interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. And figuring out the difference is actually the key to this whole story.
You know, the easiest way you think about it is like this. Distance learning is the big, giant umbrella. It covers any kind of learning where you're not in the same room as the teacher. Doesn't matter if it's a letter sent by horse or a lesson over the radio. Now, e-learning, that's the modern high-tech version that lives under that umbrella. It's the part that needs computers and the internet. So yeah, all e-learning is a form of distance learning. But for most of history, distance learning had nothing to do with electronics.
To find the real beginning of this idea, we have to go way back. I mean, way, way back. Long before computers, long before even electricity was a thing. We're diving into the age of ink, paper, and the postal service.
That's right, we're going all the way back to 1728. Just to give you some perspective, this is decades before the American Revolution. And it's here, in this world of quill pens and paper, that the very first seed of distance learning was planted. And it all started with a simple ad in a newspaper. Some guy named Caleb Phillips wanted to teach shorthand. So he put an ad in the Boston Gazette offering to mail weekly lessons to students who would then mail their assignments back. I mean, how simple is that? No classroom, no lecture hall, just the mail. And that was it. That was the birth of distance learning. That one little ad totally sparked a movement. As soon as a real, reliable postal system got going, it basically became the original information superhighway. You could send out a lesson and actually get homework back in a reasonable amount of time. This wasn't just a quirky idea anymore. By 1833, it was so popular that Sweden opened the first entire school dedicated to teaching by mail. The whole concept was now official. So for almost 200 years, distance learning traveled at the speed of a horse. But now we're jumping into the 20th century, and education is about to get a massive tech upgrade. It's leaving the mailbox behind and literally taking to the air. And this was a huge, huge shift. Think about it. Mail is a one-to-one thing, but with radio, a single professor could broadcast a lesson directly into thousands of homes, all at the same time. The scale and the accessibility just went through the roof. And of course, universities were all over this. By the late 20s, they were broadcasting lectures. But the next jump was even bigger. When television came along, you didn't just hear your professor anymore, you could actually see them. For the very first time, the classroom had a face, and it was being beamed right into your living room. So when you look back at it like this, you see this slow, steady progression. For over 200 years, we went from a newspaper ad to a postal system, then to radio, and then to TV. Each step was a big deal, but it took decades to really take hold. This long, gradual buildup was laying the groundwork for the absolute explosion that was coming next. Which brings us to the 1980s. This is the moment, really, when distance learning starts morphing into what we call e-learning. The fundamental pieces for the modern world of online education were finally starting to click into place. Okay, here's the first critical piece of the puzzle, the PC, the personal computer. Because think about it, radio and TV were a one-way street. Information just flowed out to the student. The PC changed everything. Why? Because it let information flow back. For the first time, learning from home could be a real, interactive, two-way conversation. But a computer by itself is just an island. To connect all those islands into one giant global classroom, well, that would take an invention that arrived right here in 1991. And yep, this is it, the World Wide Web. Tim Berners-Lee's invention wasn't just about sharing files. It was about creating a space where knowledge could be stored, linked together, and accessed by pretty much anyone on the planet. The first educational websites popped up almost immediately, and with that, the age of e-learning had officially begun. All right, so the web is here, the stage is set, and now things start to move fast. It wasn't enough to just dump information online anymore. The next big leap was organizing all of that into actual interactive, school-like experiences. This is where the virtual classroom that we're all so familiar with today was really born. In 1997, a company called Blackboard came along and bundled everything together. Course materials, homework submissions, discussion boards, grades, all in one place. It was the first true learning management system, or LMS. This wasn't just a website anymore. It was a digital school.
So once that model was in place, the next 20 years were all about scale. Just an explosion of growth. First, in 2009, you had Khan Academy, which just blew the doors open on accessibility by offering thousands of lessons for free. And then in the 2010s, we got the era of the massive open online course. You've probably heard them called MOOCs. Platforms like Coursera and edX put entire university courses online, reaching millions of people. The classroom wasn't just digital anymore, it was global.
So that brings us to today. It's been a 300-year journey, from a lesson in an envelope to a personalized AI tutor that can live in your pocket. The technology has changed in ways people couldn't have even imagined, but the core idea, it's still the same. Using our best tools to share knowledge across any distance. It really makes you wonder, with stuff like VR and even smarter AI just around the corner, what's the classroom of tomorrow going to look like?